Now, Hong Kong's leader, Carrie Lam, has announced she will suspend indefinitely plans to change the law to allow suspects to be extradited to China. Hundreds of thousands of people protested against the legislation last week, and activists say they still plan another mass protest tomorrow. For more on this, I'm joined by Lok Man Choi, who is an assistant professor at the School of Journalism and Communication at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Many thanks indeed for joining us today. Firstly, what do you make of this U-turn by Carrie Lam?
I think the pressure is getting to her. At the same time, she is still not refusing to back down on many critical points. But credit to the amazing people of Hong Kong who made this happen. And especially, I've been so impressed with some of my students who have been really smart and patient and persistent and passionate about this. And it also validates the movement, the umbrella movement from 5 years ago, I think, in many ways.
Yeah,
we made possible what many said was impossible. At the same time, there are still many issues left unresolved so it's not over yet.
Yeah, if you look at the vast majority of the protesters, they seem to be young people who were making a stand and having their voices heard in Hong Kong. What is likely to happen next?
Tomorrow there will be a march, and from the many people I've talked to, many are still upset and angry because they feel like they have not been heard or understood by Miss Carrie Lam after today's press conference, and I don't blame them. Miss Carrie Lam, although this is an important step forward and a win for the many people who have been coming out to protest, Ms. Carrie Lam still refused to apologize for the entire extradition bill. She specifically also has not apologized for the excessive force of use by the police. She has failed to rule out that what happened on Wednesday was quote unquote a riot, meaning there are severe legal implications for the people that got arrested. And when it comes, and very broadly speaking, she seems incredibly out of touch and still not understanding what her own people are thinking and feeling. And for her to be our leader, that is really painful and hurtful.
I'm just looking at the comments by Ms. Lan over the extradition law controversy. She said that, I feel deep sorrow and regret that deficiencies in our work and various other factors have stirred up substantial controversies. I mean, when she says various other factors, what is she talking about?
I think she's talking, so what I am so upset about is that she could have prevented a lot of bad stuff happening. All the excessive force used by the police could have been prevented if she simply had said what she said tonight, last Sunday, when 1 million people were on the streets. And instead of being impressed by that and listening to the 1 million people on the streets, she that night said, incredibly tone deaf, just plain deaf, great that you guys are all on the streets, but business as usual. We're going to continue the meetings, and she even fast-tracked the process. And so people felt incredibly frustrated after that, so we were wondering, what do we need to do? Right? This is 1 million people on the street. 1 out of 7 people in Hong Kong out on the streets. That's insane. And for her then to just dismiss it and say, business as usual, we're going to continue fast-tracking the process. Was really bad, and at that point, I don't think anybody was giving us a dime for our chances of killing this bill. Yeah. And then so in the last few days, it's been incredible that we've been able to turn that around and been able to get her to indefinitely shelve and postpone this bill. But that does not mean it is retracted, and so that's what a lot of people tomorrow are probably going to be marching for, because a delay is not a retraction.
And just very briefly, from the point of view from yourself and from your students who've been protesting in Hong Kong, what implications does this have for Carrie Lam's future as the chief executive?
The problem, of course, is that the structural problem, of course, is with Hong Kong is that she is not being voted in by the people. And then so that's why she also, I suspect, she does not feel like she has to listen to the people very well. And earlier today, after her speech, after a press conference, Beijing state media came out saying they support her. So I don't think that means, I suspect that means she won't be stepping down anytime soon. But even if she would step down anytime soon, that is, that still doesn't solve the larger structural problem of the people of Hong Kong being able to vote for their own leaders, which was agreed on, many, many years ago between China and the UK when they decided to hand over Hong Kong back to China.
Lokman Choi, Assistant Professor at the School of Journalism and Communication at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Appreciate his time. Thank you.